And this is my microphone, and it's Sunday morning for those who have survived this long. Welcome to The Art of Rock. We are talking about amazingness, making rock and roll happen, and just hanging out. Every Sunday, here, every Sunday, even when I don't tell you guys it's happening, and I'm sorry I didn't tell you. Every Sunday it's happening, unless I go, guys, I can't do it, which I'll say on the Patreon or the Discord. But every Sunday, this channel, we are doing this, getting each other through this. These people, this is made possible with Angelspit's Patreon, many of which are here now. Thank you. You keep me going, and I say this always, I will try and keep you going. My God. Angelspit has just started a Kickstarter for Glass Jar. Finally, sequence 1. This is 2.5 years in the making, so go check it out. It's epic beyond epicness. Like, it's insanely epic. And Patreon members are getting a free MP3 download of it and the audio drama that goes with it. And it's very trippy. And we got the test pressings, and I was listening to them the other night on the vinyl, and they sound really good. I'm so happy with this. And while we are doing that, because who wants to release one thing at a time, Angelspit is also releasing, pre-ordering its 10th album, Diesel Priest. Once again, Patreon members get a free digital copy of that. And I could not have done that one without you guys. And if you want to hear about more crazy killer tracks, you need to check out this. That's the Spotify list of Art of Rock of a whole bunch of bands here while we watch John Cook. And it's going to be epically fantastic. I love that knife. So follow that Spotify playlist and add those songs to your list, because these are your new favorite bands. Talking about your new favorite bands, you're also going to learn about your new favorite bands on MTV TV. So get on that. If you got downtime at work, play it. Watch this music. Listen to this music. It's the best. And where at the end of this, we're going to stream over to MTV TV. MTV TV also have our Patreon, and this is helping them keep going. Just on this, very, very quickly, I'm going to put in here a little reminder to a video we did. We were talking about this before we went live. A video about making a budget. Hey, Adam, you should jump on. Making a budget on a shoestring budget, and we did this as an Art of Rock session recently. With MTV TV and a whole bunch of people who make videos at all stages of their video making this, including Grim the Fantastic. And you are fantastic, Grim. And it's just a quagmire of amazingness. And quagmire is not the word you use with, but I did anyway. Ah, my God. All right, mics are on. Julius, hit me with your rhythm stick.
I do. I always do. I'd like to talk about the elevator pitch, as you might say. I've started to work on my press release for the EP that comes in January. And my question is, what is the best way to introduce your act, yourself as an artist, and your release?
Okay. Well,
in written.
Yeah. Short and sweet does it, and I'm got to double make sure your mics are on. Thank you, Carl. Short and sweet, obviously, but you already knew that because he said elevator pitch. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about your band. What have you got so far, if I may inquire, if you're confident about talking about this? Or we could talk about Angelspit instead.
What do I got so far? Not much. I made the template. And I wrote, Brandschatz is.
Yeah, no, that's good, because normally I get to that point and then I crawl up in a little embryonic ball and start crying. So you did it happy, and that's good. So here's what I want to do is let's talk about your music. Let's kick around some keywords, and we can do this for your bands as well. So I've done this thing before where I talk about okay, we're going to get to the comparison thing in a moment. I've heard your music, and keywords I would be using would be Darkwave, obviously, EBM, obviously, possibly Agrotech, but I'm not sure. Maybe Cyberpunk, but I'm not sure. I don't even know what that is anymore. Guys, turn your fucking mics on and help me out here. Oh shit, people are waiting to come in. Sorry. Yeah, Adam, Grim, go. Rose and Adam, welcome.
I would say I don't think comparison is always a terrible way to go because it likens people to your flavor or your branding. I think a lot of people are afraid of name dropping, but sometimes that could help them form a mental image of what, or an audio semblance of what you sound like. So I just write it all down, and what you think it is, what your music is similar to or kith and kin with, and you could do that. I have to do that a lot with Grim. Granted, it's not a full-blown musical project, but I have to liken it to saying, okay, well, what is it at its base root? Okay, it's a horror comedy. That's a very succinct way to snap it down. But then I could tell people it's kind of like Tales from the Crypt or What We Do in the Shadows, and there's quite a good range, but it's a good way to help snap it into focus. But yeah, I had to find early on like what my buzzwords were, because I could spend 10 minutes explaining it, or I could just start with a splash intro and say it is a horror comedy about da 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 da. So I would highly recommend that. Write it down, and just nix unnecessary wording just to help you, make it a tight, succinct elevator pitch.
Okay, thank you. I'm going in after you, Adam. And what I want to do here is, if you are familiar with Julius's music, the objective is we are going to help him right here, right now, come up with this pitch. So this is aimed at Julius's music, if you know it. John, what you got? And I'm going in after you, Adam, if that's cool.
Yeah, so I think that there's a couple distinct parts. It's like building upon what Grim said, especially around having comparables and like, who do you sound with, and having a shorthand for it. Instead of just saying, for fans of, you can invert the relationship and make it sound as if like inspired by. So if there's particular artists, you can just say I'm inspired by this and this and this, and that makes it a little bit broader and makes it sound less like name dropping and sound like, nope, I am a musician who likes other musicians, and is like, and this is part of my journey. So you can have that as part of the description. Also, I think one of the strong parts of your act is that you have a personality, you're charismatic, you're glamorous, you have style as part of the persona that you are showing. And so it is not just it's not just about like the act itself, but it's the whole package, which includes you as the artist. So I would include some notes about that, because it's like otherwise, I mean, it's like if you're just buying a CD or an album, it's like that's one thing, or listening to a track or EP like what you have coming up in 2022, versus, it's like, this is the entire experience. Who is the artist? Who are you?
Excellent. Thank you, man. Adam, go.
Well, my thought is that every news article seeks to answer 5 questions, which are who, what, where, when, why, well, 6 questions, and how. 5 W's. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. And with an elevator pitch, you want to answer those all in like 3 sentences.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks a lot.
Well, I mean,
no, man, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct.
Well, what I'm saying is, let's run through them. Who is it? It's Bronze Shots, right? Like, who? Okay, what is it? What is it? It's an electronic, it's a dark electronic music act, right? You can start filling in all the details you want. And I agree with what both John and Grim said, is like, write out a whole bunch of crap and then just cut away until you get rid of all the extraneous fat. But answer each of those questions, write them down. Who? Bronze Shots. What? Industrial dark alternative.
Okay, hold on.
electronic
I'm sorry. I'm just going to interrupt you. I'm sorry. Julius, I want you to pull up a text pad because what Adam's saying and what John said is really important. So I want you to start writing. Brown Shots is a... Adam, keep going.
Yeah, well, that's two questions answered, and you haven't even finished the first sentence, right? Bronze Shots is a dark alternative, like a darkened electronic music project from Germany. So that's where, who, what, and where are all answered in one question. How do you get it? You get it on Bandcamp. Like,
Brown Shots'
what
new
else would it
single
be?
is available
Why?
on Bandcamp and all streaming services on date here.
Yeah, why is a good question. Like, you know, why it would be like your influences, why you make music. And, you know, one of the questions that I like to ask is not so much about what bands you're trying to sound like, but what made you want to make music. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's a good thing to sort of slide into the what, you know, sounds like is a useful tool. Like, sounds like.
If
You
you
know,
like
if-
blah, blah,
if-
blah, 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 you'll love Brown Shots.
recommended if you like.
Yeah.
Recommended if you like is a good one. But I think what you want to do with those kind of things is like, you know, if you're going to pick 3 examples of things that you would compare yourself to, one of them should be sonic, one of them should be lyrical, and the other one should be, I think, like image or tone or however you want, aesthetic, however you want to put that. I don't think you want to put 3 things that are like so much the same. Like, it's like, sounds like Apoptygma, VNV, and Covenant, right? Because that's all the same thing.
Thank you. Can I jump in, or if you're still going,
Yeah,
I want you
no,
to keep
go
going
ahead,
because this is a
go
good
ahead.
rant.
That was
a good rant.
my-
All right, that was amazing. This is great because I'm going through my press releases going, I could make them better. Okay, so here are the core questions, and Alex, I'll throw to you once I'm done talking. Forgive me if you've heard this before. By the way, everybody, pull up a text pad now and do this for your band. Even if you have a bio, good on you, Mark. Do it again. Listen. My first question is, we're going to play role-playing. You have just walked into the house of somebody who likes your music. I'm not going to ask why you're there or how you got there. It doesn't matter. It's not part of the story. And there, on their shelf, is your CD. We're going to pretend it's your latest CD. Now, their shelf is all assigned by like music. So all of my goth is over here, all my industrials, all my punks here, and all my dark ambience over here. And there's your CD in its genre. I want you to tell me, when you look to the left and to the right of your CD, there are 2 other CDs. What are those CDs? First question. If a fan put your... And this isn't what you like. This is what they like. What are those 4 bands? Okay? And you're welcome to throw at me now, or I could jump to the next question. And the next question is, you've scored the gig of your life. And you are on tour with a band, and everyone's gone to that band and gone, I love this main band, and then I saw Brown Shots. It was a perfect match. What is that band? And if you have that band, then now you have to follow what they do for marketing, etc., where they hit, who they hit, how they hit them, why they hit them, pimpage. Here is the third question. While you are on stage rocking like a god, you look down at the front row, and the front row are your fans. Who are they? How old are they? What is their sex? Am I allowed to say that? I don't know. I don't fucking care. Are they boys, girls, or theys or others? What are they wearing? No, this is serious. What are they wearing? Because your image has projected something and they are lapping it up and they are reflecting it back to you. So now that in your mind you see your demographic, he, she, they, you see their age, you see their I think that's it. Sex, location, age. Well, location doesn't really matter because this is all over the world. You see what they're wearing. You see how they are influenced. And believe me, clothing has so much to do with this. Said Carl to everybody who's wearing black. Almost, but not Alex, because Alex has to be an individual. So, with that in mind, you now have, if you like blah blah blah, you'll love button shots. You now have the sex and you have a demographic information of where you're going to start shooting your. If you do an ad campaign or something, you have you have their demographic. Even if it's fantasized, you have their demographic. And you also have another band who you can base your marketing off. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and you got to forgive me because I might ask some of these questions in a way that are incorrect these days or inappropriate these ways, but you're my mate, and I need to make sure that you get that we hit this correctly. So I want keywords from you right now for your band, and the keywords I'm drawing upon are drag and queer. Are you comfortable with those words? And let's explore those words. Because within those words are a massive, 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 massive market. Are you also comfortable with kink, BDSM, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da? You.
This question is for me,
It's
yes?
for you.
Okay. I was, of course, thinking about these keywords, drag, queer, kink, not so much BDSM, not so much drag and queer. Yes, it is part of myself and of my act, but I'm not sure if I fit into this scene with this certain style of music, if you know what I mean, because most of this drag queer scene music is very pop influenced, and I'm not.
Okay. Firstly, May Graves. Secondly, obviously, Elsner Cult. Thirdly, he used to be with Blood on the Dance Floor.
Okay.
What was his name? He's got a new name now. He's one of the horror crew of on Shudder. What do they call the horror crew? The Bootleg Brothers or something? He's wearing a damn horror hawk, an Angelspit horror hawk. He's like, okay, so there is a massive, huge drag thing where it ain't pop. It's like blood, gore, and horror, and punk and madness. And Bootleg Brothers, help me out here, guys.
Bootleg Brothers.
What?
Yeah, Bootleg Brothers.
That's them. And I don't even remember his name. I suck. Jay. He's changed his name, so I don't know what his name is now, but Jay's fucking fantastic. Jay is bloody awesome, and he's one of those crew. May is one of those crew. Els is going to... It's funny that predominantly all the drag queen stuff I see is dark, dirty, and gritty. And it's horror. Like, it's horror, shock value. So that market is really massive. Somebody's... So I say push those words. I say research what these people are doing. And look at what they're doing and learn from what they're doing. Dragula, thank you very much. Look at what they're doing. I want to finish this up because I think I'm prattling too much right now. And then I'm going to throw it to Alex and then Rose. Oh, but you. So was there any other things here? And these hashtags are so important. And the genre is so important, and you can't really have a la genre that I just made up. It's my specific genre. Don't do that. Do a genre that exists. Like you might go to big existing dark wave, EBM, and then you might find a hashtag genre that specifically is used by this Bootleg Brothers crew, and I'm saying it wrong, and I'm a terrible man for saying it wrong, and I apologize. And something else. I'm so excited about marketing. I'm excited about doing my tax too. And that's when Angelspit completely lost credibility. Was there anything pertaining to this that you want to jump to, or will I throw it to Alex and then we're going to boomerang back to you? Okay, cool. Here's a joke. What do you call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick. Alex, what do you got?
Not much, but I just wanted to add that I think in Julia's specific case, I would definitely add Berlin because it's one of the big cultural hubs at the moment. Like, it's London, Berlin, LA, Tokyo, New York, I think. Like one of these big five. So I would definitely say Berlin because I feel like it means something.
Awesome. Julius.
Thank you. I have, of course, written down more than Brandschutz's is. I have gathered some keywords and influences too, and I just wanted to read them to you, and would like to know what you think. I wrote under genre, industrial, darkwave, EBM, and also lo-fi. I do not know if this is exclusively like study music and anime stuff, sitting on their desks and doing homework. But yeah. Under keywords, I got dark, distorted, demonic, and newcomer. And influences, I didn't dare to do the name-dropping thing, so I got concrete, video games, and societal trauma. So edgy.
Can I jump in there?
Yes, please.
Get rid of newcomer.
Okay.
Get rid of. I think you really need to hook into the drag thing, because a lot of drag music, it's like when you listen to industrial music. It's somebody who wears black and they use synthesizers. Industrial. Really, that's what it is. And it's a similar thing with a lot of the drag related stuff, in my humble opinion, is it's people who look fantastic, who are dragged up, who use synthesizers. It's drag, or whatever that style of music is. But welcome, Diana. You are very welcome. So I think it's really critical because your look, this goes into what Adam was saying, your look defines your audience. And the avatar you project is, people who are into that are going to go click, play, so baby, flaunt it. That was Sputnik's first lesson to us. Flaunt it. Sputnik. My God, there's a marketing campaign of all marketing campaigns. You guys know about Sputnik, right? Oh my God. Fucking, if you know about Sputnik, put your hand in the air. Oh my, Adam, we failed. We failed. They don't know about Sputnik. Sputnik started this clusterfuck. Sputnik was, they were the, stop. You've got to look up Sputnik. Look them up. They're the first. They're the fucking justified ancients of Mumu. Just saying. They became the KLF, I think, or something. They had something to do with, no, okay, I don't care. Then they're Banksy. Fuck you. They're Banksy. My mum is Banksy. Anyway, Sputnik, when you look at them, go and Google them now and look at what they're doing. It was 1984. They got a loan of a Fairlight and they used all of these dumb samples and they got their asses sued off, but then they did it again and they disappeared in a fluff of hair. It was Let's Be Mad Max with lots of colors and a Fairlight. Nowadays, we call that cyberpunk. They were cyberpunk before there was cyberpunk. All of their lyrics, everything about it, Tokyo ghetto pussy, everything about it. It was cyberpunk. But the important, Love Missile, look it up. The important thing about what they did, it was a marketing campaign. The whole thing was it was a flea circus. It was a marketing campaign. And when you look at their artwork, the music, the artwork that went out for the whole thing, it's mind-blowing. Get inspired by these people. And they didn't tell anyone to get fucked. They weren't pulling a Marilyn Manson on anything. They were just glamorous. Anyway, we just lost Julius. I'm going to stop now because whatever I was saying wasn't important because you don't know who 66 Sputnik is. Mike. Okay. I cut him off.
It is okay to learn from each other.
Yeah,
we
it
don't
is.
always know each other's unit, so don't be mad that people don't know things. Celebrate that they have an opportunity to
John,
hear it for the first time.
You're absolutely correct. I am celebrating. Rose, help me.
Hi, how's it going, y'all? I'm back. All right. Sorry, I have no video today. I'm just not camera ready, but I really wanted to join in the chat and share any info that I could help anybody out with and stuff. And yeah, I have to agree with Carl. I do think that that there is a space for creating that kind of gender euphoria in the dark music scene. I think that it definitely goes hand in hand with our scene, and it's not something that you should shy away from. Because I know for a fact that there are people that want to find you. I see them at my shows all the time, and I encourage a lot of neurodiversity, gender diversity, and everything at my shows. I try to be that thing that I wanted to see growing up. I wanted to see a person of color, like, rocking the stage. I wanted to see a band that was creating goth and industrial and metal that was all people of color. That's what I always wanted to do, and that's what I damn well did for, been doing this thing for, over a decade now. So, and I do think that that's one of the biggest things that I get out of it is when people are like, yes, oh my God, I got to see it finally, it's something that's really important. Some bands that I think that cross that path that you, what's one that I really like? They sing a song called Lord of the Lost. I don't know if you know them, Julius. Yeah. One of my my new favorite bands that I found this past year. I love those guys, and he does a lot of stuff, where he wears fake eyelashes and platform heels, and he's very like androgynous and stuff. I think that there's definitely like they were saying, you should definitely check out Dragula. Dragula is absolutely exactly what you're thinking of. It's really dark drag, it's drag with horror influences, and it's beautiful and gross and shamelessly cheesy and awesome. It's super awesome. You should absolutely check out Dragula. You can get a free trial of Shudder and binge a bunch of Dragula that way. You should really check it out and find the one that really vibes with your aesthetic. And I would recommend using that queen's, name as one of your hashtags. Somebody that you really feel has that same vibe that you go for, that shows, what you're looking for, because I'm sure that they are out there, because there are some really, truly stellar queens out there that are just on the cutting edge, of all of the things that intersect with the things that we love, as people that consume and create dark music, so you should definitely don't shy away from it, embrace it. And, I think that the more I have found over time that the more real that I get with people, the better the relationship is between us, and the more interesting the conversations can become. And I think that, embracing, what makes you unique and really going for it is something that's going to really open up your audience, and you're going to really find your people that way, that are like they're looking to find somebody that's doing exactly what you do. You just have to find them, they're out there 100%.
Thanks. Thanks, Annette.
Awesome.
That
Thank
was
you, Rose.
oh.
Really, I
No, no
love
problem.
Lord of the Lost. It's one of my favorite bands, actually. And the Dragula thing, I got a very close friend who's a drag queen as well, and he watches Dragula all the time, so I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Yes, this is really good. Eryck, what do you got? Thanks again, Annette.
I just wanted to throw, I mean, I'm not very good at this either, Julius. But just speaking of and directing towards you, I agree with everybody here, and I think you should, our music is just an extension and maybe an exaggeration of ourselves. So go full force, man, and do it. If you're comfortable and you do it, like, and that's what you want to do, like, portray yourself, man. And if people don't like it, they don't like it. Like, I don't think our music's not liked by people, you know, mainstream people anyway. So I would definitely just embrace yourself and go with it. And your music's awesome and it speaks for itself. And I think just putting that persona together and having that package is going to be awesome. And yeah, and another thing is, another genre maybe is electronica. That's such a broad, I actually just put that in my on DistroKid. That's gonna be my subgenre from now on, because it literally just covers everything. I'm not EBM, so I didn't put that or anything, but like, I think electronica is a good term because that covers anything from Gary Newman to the Chemical Brothers. Like, it's such a broad thing, and I think when people see that, like, just an idea. But yeah, embrace yourself and go full force, man.
Thank you, Eryck. You just got the quote of the day, which music is an exaggeration of yourself. That's fantastic, man. I love that. Annette, I see your hand again. It's Annette. I'm sorry. I'm going to call you Rose.
It's all good. Yes, Rose is good. One more thing that I wanted to say was I noticed you said you didn't want to do the name droppy thing, so you avoided naming bands. I kindly suggest that you get over that. I used to not want to do that as well. I had exactly the same feelings as you. I felt like, oh, I can't, like, just, you know, whatever. Like, I don't want to compare myself, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to look like I'm name dropping. But honestly, that really is a huge way in which people decide whether they want to check you out. You know, regardless of what your personal feelings are about it, I do suggest setting them aside and just picking some bands and letting go of whatever feelings you have yourself about it. Like, when I started my first band, I got compared to Gwen Stefani a lot. And I hated it because I was like super anti like pop music and this and that and the other, but it just kept happening. It kept happening. And then as I got older, my voice changed and stuff. And then, you know, people drew different comparisons. And at first I was like a little bit resentful of those comparisons. I really didn't want to buy into that. And I would do the same thing of like just choosing different things, like, oh, I'm influenced by fairy tales and video games and, you know, et cetera, and this and that, you know? And honestly, you're just shooting yourself in the leg by doing that, you know? And it's really just it's a self thing of not wanting to appear cocky or whatever. You know, there's a lot of different reasons going behind it. But I do suggest that you just pick some bands, pick 3 bands and just do it. And put your ego aside, whatever things that are holding you back from that. It's just so that people have an idea of who you are and what you do. It's the easiest way of, back in the day, in the 90s, which is when I started making music, it would be, the popular phrase was, okay, if I put 3 bands in a blender, you know, to make your sound, what are they? You know what I mean? And that was a very common thing that people would say to each other. You know what I mean? It's just something to help frame what your sound is like in an easy way for people. And I feel that by leaping over that, because of whatever reservations you might have of what people might think of you for bringing up X, Y, and Z band, you know, you're really kind of hamstringing yourself, you know? So consider it.
Thank you, Rose. And just before I throw back to you, Julius, remember that marketing is not about you. Marketing is a new, different branch of this industry where you are you're acting like a record label, and so you can talk to them to find your audience. And record labels do a lot of things that you might go, I don't feel comfortable with this. But in most cases, it's about trying to reach people. Because the whole artistic integrity thing, this is the part where Carl said something and everybody hated him for it. Artistic integrity is great during your songs and during your lyrics up to a point. And you choose where that point is. It might be the whole thing. That's fantastic, man. Or it might be just this much. Whatever your thing is. Artistic integrity does not really exist in marketing. There's moral integrity, for sure. But in marketing, it is a job to get your product to them, to your market. Then I throw it to you, Julius.
Absolutely true, and I hate it. And I hear you all about the name dropping thing. It's definitely going to be difficult for me, but I will do this. Another question I have about this is how much, like not how much name dropping is okay, but for example, if I were to drop the name Depeche Mode or the name 9 Inch Nails, is that too much? I mean, how famous should the bands be I choose? Adam.
He says,
Seriously, man, I'm one of those guys that's like, if you like Depeche Mode, you'll probably like my record. Like, Depeche Mode's one of the ones I fucking use.
so do
Like,
I.
go high, man. Go high. Like, use those names. Ministry, 9 Inch Nails, that kind of stuff. Yeah, why not, man? It's like for fans thereof, man. All the other bands, like when you read all these other bands that have that in their press kit, that's why.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry, I'm jumping in. Yes, and yes, and just you might listen to a lot of Depeche Mode, but that doesn't mean you're going to sound like Depeche Mode. I listen to a lot of fucking Depeche Mode. I do not sound like Depeche Mode at all. I wish I did, but I don't. The point is that this is one of the things about separating yourself during the marketing is that you need to listen to your music and you need to go, what else is out there that sounds like this? And Depeche Mode is brilliant because it's a huge, broad net. Specifically, which Depeche Mode era? Are you talking 81 to 84, 84 to 89? What era are you talking about with Depeche Mode's insanely huge, repertoire? So, you might actually want to say an album. For me, it would be Construction Time Again. But it sounds nothing like Construction Time Again. But for you, I don't know. But this is about you. So, and remember, I'll say it again, it's not about it's my favorite Depeche Mode album or Ministry album. It's what you sound like. And it might be something totally different. That's all I have to say on this. I'm going to bat it over, and anybody can jump in there before I bat it over to Eryck. It's to Eryck. Go.
Yes. So, just to go on that, yeah, use big bands because that's what people know. And what I suggest maybe to you, I've always had a problem with that too. I know a lot of my stuff sounds like 9 Inch Nails because that's my biggest influence in my life growing up. So Trent Reznor had a huge impact on my music. But everything else, maybe I suggest, and this is what I've done, is show your music to people or get feedback and ask them what you sound like. And don't take offense to it at all. So if you ask somebody like, oh, you sound like Skinny Puppy, and so other people it's like Skinny Puppy, and I mentioned this to you the other day, but like do Skinny Puppy. People know Skinny Puppy, and if people think your music sounds like that, and you may not, it does. I've had people tell me, like Rose was saying too, at Gwen Stefani, I've had other people tell me my music sounds like this and this and this, but your own style, and I'm like, I don't even listen to that band. But if you think it sounds like that and I know who they are, I'm going to use that because that's going to help me get my stuff out there, whether I think I do or not.
Thank you, man. Brilliant. John.
Hey, yeah, just two things. I was like on the framing, actually the exercise of like, what band do you want to open for? Hi, Genevieve. It's like that using that, it's like, again, it's like, it's not name dropping. It's like, hey, if like they're in town, like, I would love to open for Gary Newman. I don't think I could ever like hold a crowd, but like, it's like massive inspiration for both his, his approach, his, embracing his neurodiversity and using it as one of his aspects of his personality. Like all of those aspects of it, like for me, that's like massively inspiring. The other thing is marketing yourself is not selling out. Is being able to pay the bills selling out? Because if so, I'm sold out. Like, ask me that question 20 years ago, I would have given you a much different answer. But like now it's just like, I've hit the bills. It's okay.
Thanks, man. Just before I throw to you, Rose, a phrase you might want to try is the bastard child of Ministry and Depeche Mode, or something like that. The bastard child of. Or say it's something really fun like, we broke into Skinny Puppy's warehouse and stole their samplers, set them on fire, and this is what it sounded like. I don't know. Rose.
Hello. I'm back. All right. So in regards to this, it also depends on what you're pushing. If you're pushing a particular single, that maybe sounds different from the rest of your work, then, get together with a group of friends that listen to that kind of music and say, hey, here's this track. What do you think it sounds like? You know what I mean? And get their honest opinions, make sure it's people that you trust and, and people that are familiar with this style of music. Obviously, you can't run it past somebody who doesn't listen to this style of stuff. For me, I found with my, like I said, with my old band, a lot of people were like, yeah, it's like, what I ended up doing was there were, people kept making the Gwen Stefani comparison with my voice, right? So I embraced it. I was like, okay. I was like, it's like Gwen Stefani grew up listening to Rob Zombie instead of ska. You know what I mean? Like that's how I described it to people, and people were like, yes, that is what you sound like. They immediately understood exactly what I meant. They were like, okay, it's this kind of vocal, but it's this style of music, and it was an immediate, like, it was just immediate. People were like, yes, that's exactly what you sound like, and so nowadays people have been comparing us a lot to early OTEP because we have a much heavier sound with my new band. So I was like, wow, like I was like, oh, man, like she is like one of the people that I really admire the most in the music industry and stuff. So, I would never have dared to compare myself to her before, but it kept coming up so often that I was like, all right. So when people tell you things like that, they're like, wow, this song really reminds me a lot of X. You know what I mean? Like really take those thoughts into account and write them down. If you notice a trend of people like being like, oh, this reminds me so much of like, when you put out a new single, they're like, oh, this reminds me of this band or whatever. Write all of those things down and keep track of them, because that is showing you not what you wish your sound was like, but what you actually sound like to other people besides yourself. It's really important that it's not what you think you sound like, not what you want to sound like. It's what you actually sound like to people. And it's going to be different than what you actually think. You know what I mean? And just take it with, just take it and roll with it. Don't be afraid. It's just an opinion. You know what I mean? And it's just, all you're doing is you're just drawing a comparison, not to say that you're as equally good as these artists or whatever. It's really just to give them an idea, and it's hard to feel like you're not being egotistical when it's somebody that you really admire. You know what I mean? But you got to do it, so just go for it, but really like run it past people and get their opinion, not your opinion of what you sound like, but somebody else's. It's really important. That's all I got.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. I just want to also throw out a thank you and a good day to Leanne Claire, who's watching on YouTube, and she's got some bloody great stuff. And ladies and gentlemen, I give you the lady of the hour, May May Graves. That was a pregnant pause. There are no other hands up. So May, hey darling, how are you?
I'm getting ready for a brunch show, so like I literally just woke up and I'm having my coffee.
Excellent.
And, putting on Clown White. I love how I popped in right whenever I heard the word Dragula.
All right, so I'd like to get your opinion on this because we were okay. May, meet Julius. If you can see Julius is in a band called Broughton Shorts, and it's bloody awesome. Julius is also a drag queen.
Yeah.
I know you guys are both on the it's coming. I'm sorry, my brain's not working today. On the Art of Rock Spotify playlist, May I put you on there. So what we're talking about is specifically marketing to the horror drag audience.
Yeah.
So, and remember, this is mainly going to be a digital conversation because Julius is not in a position where he can jump on a plane and come over and play. But this is about marketing ultimately. So, May, go. The floor is yours.
Yeah, what I was sitting there watching this too, and like just kind of like piggyback off of
kind of embracing not mostly what your audience hears from you rather than like what you're trying to like produce, because a lot of the times whenever I put on like a shit ton of Clown White, I get a whole bunch of people like, this is really common in the drag community, but like every time that some new girl like pops up on Drag Race or Dragula, people always want to look at you at the club and say, oh, you look like so and so, as if like you completely copied their makeup, because like drag makeup isn't new nowadays. Like, so if you have anything that's anywhere near similar, it's, the audience tries to make some kind of reference to who you look like from a famous person's standpoint, and it's a lot of the same stuff with music. So I mean, that's that's what I wanted to say was like, after for the longest time, whenever I first started coming out, people were saying, oh, Sharon Needles, and then Trixie Mattel came out and everybody's like, oh, Trixie Mattel, because I wear a lot of eyeliner. And I just started embracing that, and so I say, I'm the one, I'm the dead Trixie Mattel, sure. Let's go with that, until I'm on TV or I'm on some big break. But it's a way to sell, and just laughing at yourself and saying, okay, yeah, sure, let's do that, except it's more brutal and nasty.
Okay, can I throw a question back at you?
Yeah.
So if because of the social restrictions we live in now because of COVID, etc., and because of Julius is in Germany, and Julius, if you want to ask questions, just jump the fuck in. How does Julius break into this market? How does he get seen?
You know what? His guess is as good as mine, but the thing is though, is that like ever since COVID, the drag market has been really, really digital. So there's been a lot of digital drag shows, a lot of different different types of digital drag shows, a lot of different types of like meetings like this on YouTube with like a whole bunch of drag queens, just kind of finding different. I mean, the way that I did it was just finding those digital drag shows and like throwing my music videos in there as if they were numbers, because people are sharing that a lot more. So I guess whenever you're talking about, doing drag, just lean into it more and more and more. Do things, especially with YouTube. I've been doing a lot more drag makeup tutorials, drag queen does this videos, and like they get traction from different people who watch drag queens doing ASMR. I have like I weirdly tapped into the ASMR community by doing an ASMR video, and so now people are watching all these drag queen ASMR videos, and my video is like on one of those playlists because I just happened to tap into that, and then so they streamline into my music. Another thing too is that I have a lot of DJs in the clubs that I work at, and I'll send them my music videos before drag shows and stuff, and you can send them to me too. And a lot of people will show up to the drag show early and see the music videos playing in the bar before the drag show, and they'll be like, I don't know this one. This one isn't on TV, but they're important because they're playing at a drag show and their music video is playing. So I guess just like lean further into it and test out and see what works on YouTube, and send your music videos to some gay bars.
On that, Julius, if you have questions, jump in, because
I'm just utterly fascinated to talk to May May Graves right now.
Oh, stop!
Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry, very precious advice there. So thank you very much. I got a very close friend who is a drag queen too, and he talked about some of this. For example, doing videos for YouTube and ASMR stuff. So I'm familiar with this, but I won't merely label myself as a drag queen. So I'm kind of somewhere in between, or
oh yeah, for sure.
I will listen to this, and as I said, I already got in touch with some of this, and see where it leads me.
All right, if I can here. Firstly, May, if you have emails for these DJs, send them to your favorite label guy, and I can add them to the list, and then I can propagate and help. You help me, I help many.
Oh yeah.
I love you.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit too much.
Oh,
I know. Also, now this is interesting because God, I wish Els was here, because Els does not call Els' self as a drag queen. Els calls Els' self a queer performer. So Els has tapped into the androgyny thing, and that's fucking great, because anybody who does that is in the pants of Bowie, and we should all be in the pants of Bowie. Bowie's pants. I just want to be in Bowie's pants. Thank you. Nevertheless, I think, and that's why, when Els was, and I'll try and dig up Els's press release. Els used words like kink and possibly androgyny. I don't know, like research those hashtags, and remember that the weapon that you have, that everybody has, is TikTok and fucking Instagram, and I know, and all of this shit, that if you project yourself onto that like a beautiful motherfucker, all of the other beautiful motherfuckers, or those aspiring to be beautiful motherfuckers, shall in ways be able to gravitate towards you, as long as you have your hashtags in place. That's what I think. So I see your hand, May. Or are you going word?
No, well, yeah, that too. But one thing that to also piggyback off of not being labeled as like one thing too, not being labeled a drag queen. I started music before I started drag, and so like I just kind of fell into it. I just happened to be a drag performer that plays as this character that I created for myself, and to kind of piggyback off of that, I don't think that there's a big chance that like drag, with how much drag content there's a big chance that that's going to fizzle out, or that word's going to fizzle out, and it's more so about fluidity, and it's about being a character. The name just changes, and so like not necessarily drag, but embracing that character. And if that happens to fall into what the culture is deeming drag now, then jump on it. You can be a king, queen. There's a German drag performer named Ryan Stecken, who identifies as a drag queen, a king and queen. So you can literally just be anything, even if it's not drag.
And also add that to your hashtag, because queen, that sort of thing takes off, because that is a lot of people can identify with that.
Oh yeah.
And also, if you're ever looking for an amazing costume, Queen of the Night from Mozart's The Magic Flute Opera is the greatest of greatestness. Anyway, does anybody else have any comments or questions? That it's all marketing. That this is all marketing. So does anybody want to throw a question in there or anything else? Alex.
Yeah, it would be a sort of topic change, but in sorts it relates to this topic. Basically, well, the fun way of saying it is, how do I become a rock star? And probably more relevant way is, how do I create persona on stage, or like artist persona? And yeah, how do I hype myself up, or how do I drink my own Kool-Aid? Not
Okay.
like being like.
That's fantastic. Before we do this, can I just tell a story about Rose? Because I'm about to throw to Rose. That Rose is 100% motherfucker. I saw Rose play with an old band. I'm telling this story, I don't care. In New York, and the drum machine broke down. And I was there helping you guys out, and we couldn't make the drum machine work. And it's like, we have to do a gig now, and the drum machine doesn't work. I couldn't help you guys. I never found out what the problem was. But she got on that stage in basically an electronic metal band with no drums and rocked the fuck out of that venue. So with that, I throw it to Rose.
Hello. Yes, that was an insane night, and oh my god, yeah, it was crazy. I don't
rocked
remember
it.
what happened
You
either.
fucking rocked it.
It was terrifying. It was so terrifying. But you know what? It's really funny because I am a crazy person about rehearsing. Like I insist upon a certain amount of rehearsals before every single show, and I'm not afraid to admit that I'm super like over the top with it. But it really paid off that night because we practiced so much. When it came time and we had no drums, we still all knew each other's parts, you know, and we were like, okay, we can do this, and we were fucking on, like spot on every single song. I was like, I don't know how we're doing this. I don't want to say anything about it to break the magic spell that is keeping us together right now. It was terrifying. But as somebody who, to answer your question, Alex, as somebody who is very much all about an oversized persona, and as Carl said, I am that motherfucker. I really am. I will do. I give absolutely zero fucks at all times. It's just no fucks given ever. And because I have to be, because people have a lot of different expectations of you, especially as a woman when you get up on a stage, especially as a woman of color, who's always been in bands with people of color, who's always been in bands where I had female drummers and things like that. I like to really fuck with people's expectations of what they think I'm gonna sound like. I'm a very friendly person, so people are really surprised by how aggressive I am on stage. Because I'm always like, I'm getting to know everybody. I'm talking to the bartenders. I'm talking to the sound person.
And
you know
then
what I
she
mean?
rips their fucking heads off on the stage like she's an animal.
That's true. So yeah, I really think that it's about, really envisioning like the, everything that you've created and everything. For me, my stage personas are they're like my armor, they are, I like to have really, May will understand, I like to have really big hair. And I'm such a huge fan, May. We were on that Dark Side of the Con live stream during crazy COVID times. And I was like,
things went so south that day, speaking of
they did, but you know what? It was still fabulous because you're fabulous. And I was totally taken by your persona. It's, you have a very strong image. And I love it, and I think you're the perfect person to address what Alex is asking about as well, actually. But yeah, I think that everybody's journey to find who their rock persona is a very personal thing. You know what I mean? But for me, it was very much like we, especially with my first band, it was like I had a very strong idea of what I wanted, which was like, we were all kind of like reanimated toys, like demonic toys and stuff. And we all had like 80s monster names combined with, like it was an 80s toy combined with a monster at the same time. And it was very shtick, but it was very specific, and it worked. You know what I mean? And my new band also, it's very much like for me, like I think about like the name, I think about what colors are associated with certain names and stuff like that, like Rose, you know, so I wear a lot of red, you know, I always have big red hair, you know what I mean? I always incorporated Rose somewhere in my costume, you know, just things like that. I often wear stuff with blood splatters all over it. I often decorate our merch table also with that same kind of bloody splatter, and our banner for, you know, our stage show. Once you decide, you know, I think you just really have to sit and dream and imagine and think about what's your favorite characters in a book or in a movie or whatever. Like, what is it that appeals to you about that? And then you can kind of free associate like different words and colors and stuff like that. Even if you're really stumped and you're really having a hard time, toss like some of your ideas into one of those bullshit band name generators online. It's stupid and silly, but sometimes that's what you need to kind of push yourself out of whatever box you're sticking yourself into that's keeping you from reaching who your rock star persona is. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's really good to just use something stupid like one of those band name generators and stuff, and just plug in a bunch of the things that you really like and see what comes back, because it'll give you like a list of like 10, 20 names. You know what I mean? And you can start kind of cherry picking from there what stands out to you from that. What are the things of you that are just an exaggerated version of you that can create this character, you know? And then really just be it and have fun with it. You know, when I go up on stage, I'm Rose motherfucking Blood. You know what I mean? I am ready to kick ass, take names. You know, I came to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm ready to go. You know, you can't have any fear. You just have to, you know, and also having that persona really will help you when you're on that stage, because then you're not gonna be thinking about what would Alex do in this situation. You know what I mean? You're not Alex anymore. You're somebody else. You know what I mean? And go forth with the confidence of that character. Really bury yourself in it, and it can be really satisfying and really fun, and it'll kind of be your armor for the stage. That's what I got.
Thank you, Rose. Can I go in after you, Eryck? Mark, what you got?
Hey, Alex, as far as kind of developing your persona, a really helpful thing that I assume is good is try playing Dungeons and Dragons and just really try and get into character. It helps you kind of distance yourself from who you are. And something that's worked for me is with characters, just like other people have said, basically kind of just take some part of yourself and kind of just dial it up a little bit or a lot, and kind of just see where that takes you, and you may arrive at a persona that way, or at least kind of like what kind of person that persona is.
Brilliant. Really brilliant. Eryck?
I'm gonna just state again what I said before as well. It's an exaggeration of yourself, your music, and your persona, and what you're doing. And there are no the old quote, there are no original ideas anymore. Everything is just a cluster of stuff together and influences of stuff. And maybe, Alex, if you're just thinking like go into something you really, really love that you're going to enjoy doing and have fun doing it. Because if you're not having fun and you're trying to pursue something that's not really you, people are going to see through it. So just take something that you love doing and you have fun doing and exaggerate it and just come up with a persona. And like I said, nothing's really truly like totally original anymore. So if you're influenced by stuff, and we've talked about this before, like who cares? Like take those influences, copy them, and then make it your own, and just have fun with it.
Excellent, man. Thanks. And thanks for, May, I see your hand. If I can, what I'm going to do is, if it's okay, I'm going to throw you in after Adam. Okay, so, you know, it's funny. There's a concept that there are three versions of you. The version that you see yourself as, I think Buddha said this, the version that others see you as, and the version that you actually are. I personally believe that in rock and roll, we're interested in the one that others see you as. And the concept of wearing masks has come up here and makeup, and I'm all about that shit, even if it's a fucking horror hawk on your head or whatever. Now, it's funny that you, to me, already have a persona. We just have to bring it out. And that persona is a dark, brooding, a really dark, brooding motherfucker. Because I see that as you all the time. All we have to do is exaggerate it. And the way we're going to be exaggerating that with you could be really simple makeup and lights. And you might want to experiment with the idea of sitting a light right above your head so that you are just there. Or you might want to shoot a light from below you. Above your head might be better. Because we want to get... there is this real dark intensity about you. And it's this really serious, don't fuck with me, don't fuck around vibe that you give off. And it's funny that you may or may not be aware of this, but you always come across as very intense. So my thoughts on it is, take it or leave it, is dig into that. Jimi Hendrix, he came across as being this dark and intense guy. He was the funniest guy you'd ever meet, apparently. Dig into that intensity. And if you want to experiment, like, we were mucking around with makeup and stuff on Discord recently, keep playing around with it. Makeup. And just go, talk to May, talk to Julius about makeup. Experiment and have fun. This is all about you having fun. It's a fun thing. And, fucking Richard Aphex Twin, he comes across as the darkest, most brooding guy ever. Apparently, he's a fucking laugh. So, yeah, that's what I see you as. When I see you, when I hear your music, it sort of matches it as well. It's dark. It's intense. That's all I have to say. I'm going to throw it to Grim, and once again, May's going in after Haddam.
Hey, so yeah, I'd like to throw an idea out there, just for everybody, and especially when in regards to Alex. I have a thought that everyone has come to see you, even if they don't know it yet. I've seen opening acts for main shows and gigs that fucking shred it. They are 3 times better sometimes than even the opening act. Now everybody has their off days or what have you, but I would keep that idea in your mind. Everyone has come to see you even if they don't know it yet. You rehearse, you practice, you know your craft, you know what you do. It doesn't matter if it's drum machines and repeater pedals and loops, and it could be you and a ukulele. Who gives a shit? The point is, whatever you've crafted, you're ready to share it with everybody. And again, you have a captive audience. You have people that are there. So just kill it, go in on it, and like Zook said, have fun with it, because you could garner some attention or a new audience or a bunch of people that really like what you're doing. But you can't have all the reservations before you jump out there and just be like, this ain't gonna work out. No, it's like, I'm here for a reason, and again, you could have a whole new audience. They just don't know it yet.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll just pick up on one thing really quickly before I throw it back to you, Julius. You have to give yourself permission to have fun. You have to say, I'm going to jump in the shower in an hour, and before I do that, I'm going to cover my face in makeup and I'm going to play. I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy a makeup set for $10, a couple of brushes, and play. Dude, and it's not just makeup, it's war paint. Play, play, play. You're allowed to have play. We permit you to have play. Julius, what you got?
Okay, so I love all the ideas that have been given here. Especially the thing about thinking about your favorite characters, fictional or non-fictional whatsoever, and thinking about colors or attitude or whatsoever. But Mark has given a really important point here. I'm just irritated because you're laughing. A very important point here, and that is developing a character. For example, through a role play or something, you can do that. That's what I did as well. But what also helps, in my opinion, is talking to friends or acquaintances about this and asking them about their picture of you. And I offer you, we can do this over Zoom or when we meet this year or next year. Yeah, just hit me up.
Just quickly, I didn't laugh because of you. I did, laugh because Eryck said I was looking very dark and brooding, and I was just listening very intensely. So it wasn't because of you.
Sorry, Julius.
When we finish the Zoom, as usual, we'll leave this open. Bam. We'll leave this open after we finish the stream, and this is a really excellent thing to be talking about. Adam, I throw, and thank you, Julius. Adam, I throw it to you, then May.
Okay, a couple of thoughts on this. Like what you were saying, Carl, about allowing yourself to have fun is tied to my note here about just being your 13-year-old self, lip syncing, air guitar in front of the mirror, whatever that was. Like before you started doing the music thing, that was the fantasy in your head, that was you making music. You had a picture in your head, and that's probably a really good clue as to the persona that you're going to develop. And that said, any of the personalities, you know, the great personalities that we recognize, you know, as having well-developed personas, it took a long time for them to get there. They didn't, you know, they did that same thing. You know, they started it, you know, as kids playing air guitar and all that too. And what we don't see when we see somebody that has a really well-developed persona, like a Madonna or a Marilyn Manson or whatever, you know, what we don't see is all the development, right, that went into it. What we see is the thing that they put on stage. And then as you watch them over time, you know, this is the next one. Diana had popped it into the chat a little while ago. What would David Bowie do? David Bowie reinvented himself like really every album. Like he had a whole different persona that he came out with every single time. And I think that's kind of an important thing. Like if the lip syncing, air guitaring kid in you is Motley Crue, then Motley Crue, you're a rock star. Go for it. Be a rock star on stage. If it's Elton John, fucking put on the feathers and go.
Thank you, mate. I want to pick up on David Bowie after May sheds us with wisdom, sprays his wisdom all over us.
Usually it's me making inappropriate jokes.
I didn't say squirt.
Well, you just did, Carl. So, this is what I used to teach like on a weekly basis, was like character development, and I have 3 rules that I love to teach about this. And if y'all have any questions or like just want to talk to me like past this or like talk about makeup and stuff, like DM me on Instagram. But whenever it comes, like the things that I've learned whenever it comes to creating an onstage persona, and this is like in drag, out of drag, you don't have to be like the biggest onstage persona, whatever, but to make it you, because this is past marketing, this is something that's not something that you're trying to market, it's something that you're trying to develop for yourself for the most part. And so whenever you there's like 3 different parts that I like to say to this, which is whenever you start making an onstage persona, think about all of the shows that you've seen and think about what you wanted to see in that show, what you might want to like it's the same thing as a lot of people whenever they, like people who create TV shows for kids, they're like, what did I want to see whenever I was a kid? And so whenever I would watch rock shows, I'd be like, well, what would I want to do? Who would I want to act like? But also, what would I do to compound on top of that? And kind of take your notes, make your notes, and say, what do I want to be seen as? And then have a circle of 7, which is one of my favorite things. It's taking 7 people, alive, dead, whatever, people that you look up to, and try to keep it try to keep them as separate as possible. Like I have Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, mixed with Madeline Kahn. Those are two people who are just as much characters, but they're completely different characters. People can look to whenever you say, what if something goes wrong on stage? I'm going to look to this person in my circle of 7. I'm going to say, what would Elvira do in this situation? What would Carl do in this situation? Different things like that. And once you have that and have that practiced out in your head, throw it away once you go on stage, because after, it's kind of like a runner's high. Because whenever I do, say that I'm doing a show that I'm doing today, they want me for 2 numbers. So I come out, I do my number, I go back in, I come out. So those are rehearsed, and I go on stage, but after first song, you hit this weird runner's high, and that's whenever you're there's this inner persona that already wants to come out, and so that's going to come out first, and you have to just kind of lean into whatever comes out of you, and you're not going to know unless you play on stage, and give yourself that time. Whenever you go on stage, you play it out, just kind of let that person out after the first 2 steps that you take on stage, and just go with the flow, as well as look back to what wanted, and then recoup once you get off stage and say, what is there that I didn't do that I want to do next time, and then just compound on that.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Momo. That was great. Drake, I'm going to go in after you, Drake, but what do you got?
I really, what Rose said really resonated with me. Really becoming that character, whatever that character is that you're going to become. If you got any kind of acting background, or you have any interest in, looking into that further, that can be really, really helpful. For me, when I get on stage, I become that character, and I'm not such a nice guy. And if I've got friends present who aren't familiar with what I'm going to do on stage, or how I'm going to be before I get on stage, because it starts kind of, post setup. I want to get into that character. So I'll say to my friends, I'm going to be in character. So, don't take any offense by my demeanor or what have you. And I've actually, I've yelled at friends. This is ages ago. I remember one of my friends heckling something, and from the stage, just laying into them, and it was just like, whoa, oh, okay. And that's like, I have to become that character. There's no slipping out of that character. And another thing I just wanted to say is, on stage, there's no mistakes. If I detect an error in something that I've done, the show goes on. I don't acknowledge that error. I could even turn it into an angry moment. It was like, fuck, and it becomes a part of the thing. Yeah, no slip ups, and don't let the audience know, because half the time they're not going to notice anyway. I've had things happen on stage, and said to people, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. They're like, well, I don't even know what you're talking about. So the last thing I want to do on stage is to point attention to it, to draw people's attention to it. Just let it go.
Awesome.
I think that's all I have to say for now.
Thank you. And I'm just going to jump in quickly. Thanks, Rose. 2 things. One, Bowie's coming up a lot in the chats, and that's excellent. Of course, it starts and ends with Bowie. Just remember that every album of Bowie's was inspired by someone, where he got Vivienne Westwood or Alexander McQueen or somebody else who inspired him, or Nine Inch Nails or Marilyn Manson or David Fincher or whoever, or Eno. He worked with someone, fashion, music, otherwise, who inspired him to do something. So Bowie was always inspired and working with people. Bowie's talent was finding people who were amazing, but besides Bowie's galaxy of talent, but his real talent was finding people and working with them to create something new. Secondly, and I don't want to take anything away from Bowie, obviously, secondly, maybe what you need to do is actually do some performances to find the demon in you. Do some shows. You don't even have to stream them. Just record them for yourself. I've got a camera that I strap to my microphone, and it's this far away from my face. So I get my face like this. And it's interesting that in that it has the closeness of an intensity of my face and my eyes has helped push my character into something new. And I'm suggesting you do that as well, because your power is here. I mean, obviously your face, but your core power is here. So that's what I have to say. Throwing it to Rose now.
Oh, snap. I'm back.
She's back.
It's me. For a second, you saw my bare face. Oh, no. Anyway, so yeah, as I was saying, totally good point, Carl. I totally agree with you. There's a lot to be done with developing yourself as like your character, and recording yourself is so important. And I would literally, I had like a little cheap piece of crap camera that, you know, like it was like a little digital camera and stuff. And I would just like, I would make a deal with like whoever was playing at the show sometimes, or if I had friends that were at the show, you know, and feel free to take this idea, any one of you, you know, talk to the bands that are playing and be like, hey man, I'll record your set if you'll record my set. You know what I mean? And this recording is probably not going to be that great, so don't worry about using it for anything. Use it to evaluate your performance and to see what you can do better the next time, because your recollection of what your show was like is absolutely wildly different than what actually transpired. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the same. It's totally not the same. So, you know that and accept that. You know what I mean? And, you know, you can record live shows, you can record your rehearsals, you know what I mean? And just, you know, when you record, just set up a little camera and pretend like that's your audience and play to it and see what works and see what doesn't. You'll find, you know, once you are used to the camera after a while, you'll stop being self-conscious and you'll start playing around and you'll start mugging to the camera. And that's a really great moment of finding what are the attributes that you want to share of yourself, of your character, you know, what works, what doesn't work. You know what I mean? Oh, maybe if I do a little pirouette in here, maybe if I do a little, you know, and I highly suggest to all performers to take a dance class, or even just get a dance video game. You know what I mean? Get a dance video game and learn to be comfortable moving on a stage, because being comfortable and having body awareness is incredibly important for pulling off that character that you want. There is a reason why all pop stars have to take ballet and dance classes and media training and all of this stuff. You know what I mean? The reason why these pop stars are stars is because they have focused on every single part of what makes a performer. And part of that is body awareness, knowing how to dance, knowing how to move, knowing what camera angles work best for you. So that way, when you see a professional photographer or videographer out in the crowd, depending on the event, like the event that we just did this convention, and there was a bunch of people with like really fancy cameras, really fancy, you know, videographers and stuff. We had a really beautiful stage and a really awesome lighting and everything else. So I made sure anytime that I knew that I was in front of the camera, every time I looked out and I saw a camera, I started mugging toward that camera. You know what I mean? And I've been in front of cameras for long enough to know I should angle my face to the left or to the right or whatever. You know, if I do it this way, I'm going to have a double chin. You know what I'm saying? Like, really, like, you know, spend some time in front of a camera and get comfortable, because that's going to help you when you're in front of that audience to become fearless and be the best you that you can be. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, Adam, I'm just going to jump in. Rose, you nailed it. Even if you're only doing shows in your bedroom, remember that in that 45-minute set, you're running a marathon.
because you are moving and screaming, and that is requiring, like, if you want to stand in one place and scream for 45 minutes, you'll be exhausted. Now you're going to be moving around. Move your damn feet. You need to run around the block. You got to go into training before you go on tour. Like, you've got to be healthy, because it's not just a 45 1-hour set. It's the whole show either side, and then sleep for 3 hours and do it again for a month. Also remember, when you video yourself, you're going to suck, and be okay with that. Like, don't go, I suck, I give up. Go, okay, well, I thought I was putting 10 into my movement. I have to put 20 into my movement. And oh my God, Rose, so much of that stuff, playing to cameras, like, it sounds daft, but it's so important, because those photographers, their shots are going to go further than you are, just because of the nature of the beast. I'm going to shut up. Adam, I'm stepping on your toes. Go.
I do not feel like my toes are stepped on at all. And, the whole thing with the photographers, man, like, yeah, you got a mug for the photographers. That's how you get the good shots. Like, thank goodness for the photographers. So one of the things that I'm thinking as I'm listening to you guys, like, some performers are like wicked high energy performers, and some, we were talking about David Bowie. David Bowie is one of those guys that physically commands the stage just by his presence, and like when he's singing, he doesn't really dance a lot, but then he dances because he loves the music, but he's always kind of got a groove going, but he's not one of those like Axl Rose running all over the stage kind of thing. But talking about personas and stuff, I was thinking about this. I watched this documentary on Showtime because you can get the free trial kind of thing, and I wanted to see the new Dexter. And so I watched this documentary called Supervillain, The Making of Tekashi 6ix9ine. And I really recommend everybody watch this video. I mean, his thing is, I mean, he's a fucking tragedy, but like the whole development of a character and sort of marketing of it is it's quite worth the lesson. I'm going to put the link in the thing for the Showtime page there. It's very, very worth watching, and he's one of those cats, like, that was his show, was he just ran back and forth on the stage, screaming into the microphone to fucking monster beats, but he was such a spectacle, and some artists are going to be like that. Some artists are going to embrace the spectacle, and some artists, if you have high energy music, then you're going to be expected to put on a high energy show. I mean, great metal bands don't stand in one place, at least you got to have somebody in the show that can command the stage,
Absolutely true. Eryck, and I got your stickers. Thanks again.
Good. Awesome. Thank you, Carl. Yeah, I like what Adam just said there too. And I was going to mention that, not everybody needs to be a high energy performer. If you're not that person and you don't feel comfortable doing that, and it's not your music, go with your persona and go with your exaggeration and the extension of yourself. And if you do feel it, then you do it. What Rose was saying, I didn't realize how much I moved on stage until I don't like to watch my video of myself on stage, but if somebody took video and they shared it and tagged me and stuff, I'd watch it and just be like, oh my, I thought I was way less boring, but because I'm not like that. I'm quieter and I'm more of an introvert, but when I get on stage, it switches, and I think that's part of your persona of what you're going to do and who you become. And then your music, because you've been working on that music forever, so that music's a part of you, and how you wrote it and the feelings you were feeling when you wrote it. So when you get on stage, all that stuff comes rushing back to you, and you're gonna do it, and you're gonna go. And I think Rose was saying, or somebody was saying, May Graves was saying, you get on stage, that you get into that runner's high. Like once you get on stage, it's a little bit like, but then after the first song, halfway through the first song, you go into this full mode of just, this is me, this is what I'm doing. And Aaron said before too, it's just like, they're here to see you, whether they know it or not yet, they're here to see you. And you got to go with that energy and just build that.
Brilliant, man. Thank you. Graham!
Hey, so yeah, another huge thing is, like with you just being comfortable on a stage or filming yourself or whatever. If you kind of cast a critical light on it, I want to focus on, what you may not like about you, like as like a person. I would say, what don't I like about this set? Or what don't I like about what I filmed? And it could be something simple and basic as I need to beef up a set design. I need to deck out the table that I perform at. I need to add more set piece designs. I mean, I think about, there's a literal difference, like, mentally, I think a lot of people think of an open stage with a spotlight on them, and I think that'd be uncomfortable for anybody. It'd be like, if Alice Cooper was under one single spotlight, and just trying to like do a show. I mean, I still think he'd rock people's face off, but that difference between him and actually having set design and fog and lights and cryptic imagery and stuff for like, Feed My Frankenstein, it's like, build the ideal thing that you would want to see or enjoy on stage, and a lot of that can translate. My 30-second story is when I was in high school theater. Just as an experiment one day, we gelled out the entire room, so half the lights were blue, half of them were orange, and the majority of the class gravitated toward the orange because it was a mental trick that they thought it looked and felt warmer on that side of the room, in contrast to the blue cold side of the room. But lighting can do so much to convey, really cool emotions, or, just a wide array of what you want to accomplish. So look at your set design, look at your lights, or at least consider those to help, bring all that together. When I record for Grimm and Wicked Stories, there is always a costume involved and a flickering flame bulb or something to help, drive that moment instead of just being in a bare, open room with blinding lights.
Thank you, Grim. Rose, that was bloody brilliant. Rose.
I'm back. Okay. So I totally agree with Grim. I think that I myself am a person that likes to have, I really like to perform with my mic stand a lot. So I've always like mounted things on my mic stand, or have like a really cool looking mic stand. And, like having props and things like that are really, can be really helpful. You know what I mean? Whether it's on your mic or it's like a separate thing. There's a bunch of different acts, Alice Cooper, Wednesday 13, Raven Black, that use a lot of props and stuff. Who else? In This Moment is a fantastic example for like a theatrical performance. Holy freaking crap. Like they really like pull out all the stops in their shows. She has like backup dancers. She has like set design. She has costume changes, all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to play with aside from just your look, as has already been spoken. And if you're somebody that Carl made a really good point earlier, if you're somebody that has fairly aggressive music, if you're going to be like screaming and stuff like that, if you're somebody that has a lot of energy and runs around a lot, you know what I mean, then you better be up on your cardio. Be up on your cardio before you are playing shows. Be working your lungs out so that you have that stamina. When you rehearse, don't just sing the song because, just sitting in a chair because you're at home. Treat that rehearsal as a true rehearsal. Treat it as a dress rehearsal. Wear whatever uncomfortable costume and stuff that you are going to be wearing on stage. If you're going to be wearing platform boots or whatever else you're going to be wearing, you need to do a couple of dress rehearsals in that full kit and caboodle. And you need to be sure that you're not going to be overheating while you're performing those songs as you're actually planning to perform them. You know, I think that that's something that is super duper important, that everybody should keep in mind. You know, if you're somebody who's more laid back, there's other things that you can do during your set. You know, like if you're somebody who doesn't move around as much, you can still break up your set by including something as simple as a bar stool. Grab a bar stool, bring it over, you know, have it ready by the stage, you know what I mean? And bring it up for that moment in your set where you're going even quieter, even more still, where you're holding your space on stage in stillness and having everybody look at you and have that moment of connection with people. If you're somebody that is wearing shades, for example, maybe this is the point where you're bearing your soul, and that's the point where you take those shades off and you're connecting and you're giving your eyes to the audience and you're really trying to genuinely connect with them. For me, I have a song that is very difficult for me emotionally to sing, but it's a really great song and it has a really great video. It's about my cousin passing away. And right after that, my dad passed away. So it became even harder. But I just tell people, you know, I'm like, hey, guys, this is my first shows back since COVID because I had a whole bunch of shows in October. And I just had a moment of truth with my audience. And it's a good thing to have that moment of truth. And I was just like, hey, you might have seen the video for this song. I'm going to do my best to sing it. But this is the first time or the second time performing it since my dad passed away. And I might screw it up, you know, so just forgive me. And I found in that moment of being honest, instead of just pretending like it wasn't something that was emotionally affecting me, because I opened up my heart and I shared that moment of honesty with the audience, I saw out in the crowd that people were touched, you know what I mean? And I didn't need to be my character and wear my armor for that moment in the set. I was just really real. I was like, no, this is me as a person, and this is the loss that I experienced. And if you experience something similar, just know that you're not alone. I'm here for you too. You know what I mean? And it was really strong. So don't be afraid to get real also when you're with a crowd. And if you have a song that's like a difficult emotional song, you know, go ahead and share that. You know what I mean? That could be a moment that can mean so much to other people that are going through a similar thing. And that's why we make all of this stuff. You know what I mean? At least that's why I make it. All right, that's what I got.
Brilliant, Rose. As usual. Adam, I might go in after you. Hit me.
Right on. Well, we kind of got into a little side conversation, and Rose mentioned, you know, maybe that's the song you take your shades off, and I'm like, nope. That's the song I need the shades for, man. Is like, because I'm gonna start crying on those songs, man. But yeah, so we were kind of talking like the reason I wanted to jump in was that I mentioned that I wear shades in the chat there because I close my eyes when I sing, and it was doing that videotaping myself singing that I learned that I close my eyes when I sing. And so tying those pieces of advice together, and then Julius mentioned the makeup as part of his persona kind of thing. And you know, I think all of those things, the props that, you know, like Rose was mentioning, all of those things are great ways of overcoming our sort of the things that give us a lack of confidence, if that makes sense. You know, the flaws that we perceive in ourselves. I'm kind of like, well, I look like an idiot with my eyes closed and my mouth open on a microphone all the time, so I'm gonna wear fucking shades and then I look cool, right? And I think that's kind of, you know, I think that's all kind of part of that development, right? Is to, you know, it's like, okay, you know, I'm not athletic enough to go running around on the stage, but I also know that Billy Joel can sit there at a piano all night and fucking rock the house, you know, just by being big from one spot. You know, so I really do think that the video, you know, taking the advice of, like, you know, what I was joking about was, you know, lip syncing in front of a mirror, but it's pretty much the same thing. Like, you know, taking some video of yourself, you know, lip syncing in front of a mirror. It's kind of all the same thing. It's like that's how you develop your performance, you know, before taking it to the stage.
Thank you. Did I don't think I put my hand up. May, I'm going to go in after you. Rose, did you have something else, or is your hand still up?
It's just, it's up by accident.
All
My
right.
bad. Let me take it down.
I have that problem all the time. May,
There you go.
what you got? And I'm going to go in after you if that's okay.
Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be quick. I feel like we need like a whole Art of Rock specifically about personas because we have so much to like say. I love it. But one thing is like one thing that I've heard like time and time again is there's two different things. But two of these things I heard from like the first drag queen I ever met. She said, you're not a shot, you're a cocktail. You're made of many different ingredients. Don't give it all at once. Don't punch them in the face all at once. Let them drink you up and show them each ingredient throughout the show. And then the second one is don't just not be afraid to fuck up, but be excited to fuck up. You know, rip that Band-Aid and be like, all right, you know, because there was one girl, I just judged a competition, and one girl, she was so embarrassed after she had like this big fuck up at her talent, and she ran out before I could like kind of talk to her after I got finished judging, and she's like, oh, well, you know, like, I fucked up, and like obviously you took points off of that. And I was like, no, I didn't take points off of that. I'll actually give you more points because like fuck ups happen on stage. I'll give you more points on your score sheet if you fuck up and you recover well. Because that's what it's all about. That's why people go to drag shows, is to see if like a wig falls off or a tit comes out and see what they do after that. It's like watching a blowout in NASCAR. How are they going to recover from this? You know? So it's about how you recover and being excited to fuck up.
That is absolutely true. And remind me about reality versus fiction. People want to see a car crash, and they want to see lots of flames, and the car spins around and gets demolished. Then they want to see the driver get out. And if even better, if they then get into another car and keep going. That's what they want to see. This is brilliant, because there's it's going to come a big thing you're going to be figuring out as you go is your persona, which is however percentage based on fiction, for want of a better term, versus reality, versus the real reality of a situation. And that's something you have to figure out as a performer. And there's no reason that you can't be looking like May and be real as real, because May is real as real. And someone's leaving. I didn't see who that was. Hey, oh, yeah, Adam's going. Love you, Adam. Take it easy. Yeah, it's something that you got to figure out as you go. That there's, you know, I've had conversations with artists who are all about being the fake rock star, you know, that's not me at all, as opposed to, you know, that anger is in me and this is where I'm going to let it out. I'm going to dress it up a little bit, I'm going to exaggerate it, but that's, you know, that's something real, as opposed to I want to be like Marilyn Manson. And I don't, a lot of those artists, from what I've seen, don't seem to survive, because they built their foundations on something that wasn't real. It wasn't them. You know? So, but that's something you have to figure out. You've got to figure out, you know, what's in the cocktail. I love that. That's really good. I don't see any more hands, and I have nothing really else to comment on, except if you're going to play live, do push-ups, do sit-ups, and go for a run. And man, because you're going to be hammering it for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Yeah, some of the comments, by the way, that have been going on in Twitch and YouTube have been amazing. So I really thank everybody else who's been joining us there. Does anybody else have anything else they want to bring up? Or should we close today off and just go to Zoom? I see Julius's hand.
Hey, sorry, this might be awkward, Eryck, but I just wanted to take the opportunity to congratulate you in person. Hanging Ravens EP released on Friday, and it's super. I really like it. Available on the weekend.
Eryck, can you email me the details of that, and I'll pimp it around a little.
Sure, thank you, Julius. Much appreciated, man. I'm glad you like it.
I do.
Good on you, Eryck. And even if you want to put your Bandcamp link in the description, and I'll push it on. Yeah, because I've already got people on Twitch going, "What's the link?" So give me the link, and then I'll pass it on, like right now. And thank you, everybody. This has been bloody excellent. Here on. All right, this is Eryck's new single. Oh no, it's an EP. I lied to you. Boom. Go get it. There it is. I'm just going to make a quick note of this, and I might do some pimping of it as well. Okay. If anybody else has anything else they want to bring up, let's bring it up. Otherwise, we're kind of getting close to time. Excuse me. It's been amazing. Today's been great. And thank you all so much for contributing to this. It's been very real. It looks like we're done. So, Diana, if you would be good enough to stream us to MTV TV, and then afterwards we're going to hang around on the Zoom. So we're streaming to MTV. Bye! MTV TV streaming. Bye! Ha 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 ha!